I'd like to call to order the June 7th, 2022 meeting of the Buncombe County Commissioners. Thank you all for being with us this evening. Let's begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise and join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'd like to read the ethics reminder to the board. In accordance with the Code of Ethics adopted by the board, all county commissioners have a duty to obey all applicable laws regarding official actions, to uphold the integrity and independence of the office, to avoid impropriety in the exercise of official duties, to faithfully perform the duties of the office, and to conduct the affairs of the governing board in an open and public manner. Are there any items on the agenda, the outcome of which would have a direct, substantial, and readily identifiable financial impact for any board members? Does any board member have a financial interest in any public contract coming before the board today? There being none, all board members have a duty and obligation to vote on all matters considered by the Board of Commissioners at our meeting this evening. Commissioners, are there any questions about any items on the consent agenda? Are there any members of the public who have any questions about any items listed on our consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda and to follow the remainder of the agenda as it's been published?
So move. Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. We come to public comment. We've got a number of folks who've signed up. We are going to have a public hearing. We're going to do that after the comment. Yep, that's okay. We are going to have a public hearing on the proposed county budget later in the meeting, and so we'll take public comment on the budget at that time. There is one person who has signed up for the general public comment. And is that the representative from Connect Buncombe, Dave Nutter? Is Dave here? Come on up, Dave. And so you'll get 3 minutes for public comment. There'll be an orange light that goes off when you've got about 30 seconds left, and a red light will go off when your time is up. And we do ask folks to discontinue their public comments once your time is up, because we want to give everyone the same amount of time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, Commissioners, and County Manager, I am David Nutter, a member of the Board of Connect Buncombe, which is our civic advocacy group for greenways, trails, and open space throughout the city and county. I believe several of us are here this evening, perhaps in the overflow room from Connect Buncombe. We wish to express our support for the proposed 2022 general obligation bonds for affordable housing and open space, including greenways. We raise funds and sustain advocacy for the improvement of open space in our community. We also strongly support county efforts to achieve lasting, affordable housing. Thank you for setting this important process for the general obligation bonds in motion. We believe that general obligation bonds are the right funding method for long-term capital investments, whether for long-term affordability for our housing or for long-term protected open space for multimodal transportation and recreation in the natural outdoors, and for the good health, well-being, and enjoyment of all our people as part of the smiling joy of life we need. We pledge our wholehearted support for the success of this on November the 8th. Please adopt the bond orders. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Joyner?
Yeah, I was just going to clarify that the person that is for regular public comment was Andrew Clark.
Okay,
And so, but that's fine.
okay. But the comments on the bonds, that should not be during the public hearing on the budget, though, should it?
We have a public hearing for
Okay,
that as well.
All right, Dave, you got in early, so congratulations. Sorry about that. All right, so Andrew Clark, are you here? Come on up, please. Thank you, Mr. Joyner.
Hello, my name is Andrew Clark. I'm the Legislative Director for DAV 14. That stands for Disabled American Veterans, Chapter 14. We're dedicated to a single purpose, empowering veterans to lead high-quality lives with respect and dignity. We accomplish this by ensuring that veterans and their families can access the full range of benefits, fight for the interests of America's heroes on Capitol Hill, and educate the public about the great sacrifices and needs of veterans transitioning back to civilian life. DAV 14 is headquarters in Hendersonville. We serve Henderson, Pope, Transylvania, Buncombe, Madison, and McDowell counties and advocate for our members in more than 38 U.S. states. The majority of our membership of 900 members is in Buncombe County. Let me remind the county of the great sacrifices as it equates to federal dollars to this county. Over $248 million is brought in with benefits a year. $300 million plus is spent on the VA facility, one of the best in the country. I encourage the county to continue to support veterans and their families where they paid the ultimate price. I'm not here asking for money, but to remind the county of the debt that was paid. Over 100 years ago, a promise was made, and I thank the county for what they've done in the past. I encourage you to support the Veterans Treatment Court, education, and housing for veterans, and look forward to talking to you all more. I think this county has an incredible opportunity to utilize veterans and resources and emergency services, and I look forward to even discussing more with that. A couple of years ago, we had some of the county get to show up to one of our presentations we did for a local fire department, and we were going to expand on that. So thank y'all, and look forward to talking with y'all soon.
All right, thank you, Andrew. And as was pointed out, we do have a public hearing on the bond referendum too. So there will be a public hearing held separately for that. So if there's other folks who want to comment on that, we'll take public comments during the hearing. Are there any other folks here who wish to comment on any items not including the budget or the bond referendums for the commissioners this evening? All right. So that concludes the general public comments. And the next item on our agenda, we've got two presentations. The first presentation is a proclamation recognizing Pride Month, and Commissioner Jasmine Beach Ferrara is going to present this item and present the proclamation, and Kata from the county's Information Technology Office is here as well for this item. So.
I'm honored to share this proclamation and to wish happy Pride to Buncombe County. The County Buncombe Proclamation in recognition of Pride Month. Whereas the battle for dignity, equality, and personal safety for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning intersex and asexual people is reflected in the tireless commitment of the LGBTQIA+ community, as well as dedicated advocates and allies who strive to forge a more inclusive society. Whereas each year, the month of June honors the 1969 Stonewall riots at the Stonewall Inn in New York City, frequently referenced as the start of the modern LGBTQIA+ rights movement in the United States, now celebrated with Pride Month events nationwide. Whereas it is important to take time during this month to reflect on the LGBTQIA+ rights movement and the important progress that has been made. Whereas more than 35,000 of our neighbors in Western North Carolina identify as LGBTQIA+, and whereas a recent survey at UNC Asheville revealed that a third of the students don't identify with conventional binary heterosexual stereotypes, and whereas LGBTQIA+ individuals across the United States, including those who live in our local community, continue to face hate and discrimination simply for being who they are or for who they love, and there remains much work to do to extend the promise of our country to every person. And whereas Buncombe County's non-discrimination ordinance recognizes that it is in the best interest of the residents of Buncombe County to enact protections against discrimination that reflect the community's shared values of equality, inclusion, and fair access, and to preserve the health, safety, and welfare of people without regard to certain actual or perceived status or characteristics. And whereas Buncombe County has recognized the importance of equity for all as a core value in their strategic plan, and whereas Buncombe County's BU LGBTQ+ affinity group creates a space to share, honor, and celebrate the lived experiences of our LGBTQ+ employees. And whereas as an employer, Buncombe County has the opportunity to provide a safe and inclusive workplace for all employees and be a proud supporter and leader towards LGBTQIA+ equity in Buncombe County. While there is much work to be done, we are committing to a better future by showing up, as Rachel Macy Stafford once wrote, bravely, boldly, flawed, and full of hope. Now be it resolved that we proclaim June 2022 as Buncombe County Pride Month, signed Brownie Newman, Chairman, Buncombe County Board of Commissioners. Thank you all very much.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. As a county employee and a member of the BU Group, which is the Buncombe County's internal LGBTQIA+ and allies affinity group, but most importantly, as a member of the local LGBTQIA+ community and as a new American, it is my honor to stand here before you, before our Buncombe County Chairman and Commissioners, and before my fellow county employees and residents, and accept this year's Pride Month proclamation on behalf of the LGBTQIA+ community in Buncombe County. I would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge Buncombe County's ongoing efforts to make sure its policies and practices reflect equity for all its citizens, including the members of the LGBTQIA+ community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners.
All right, thank you, Kata, for being with us. We appreciate it very much. All right. All right, thank you, Commissioner. All right, the next item under presentations is a presentation from the Asheville Buncombe Regional Sports Commission, and Dimp Bradford is here to present this item. Thanks for being with us, Dimp.
Good evening. Thank you, Chairman Newman and Commissioners and staff for all of your support of the Asheville Buncombe Regional Sports Commission. I would especially like to thank Commissioner Edwards for her leadership as our board liaison, and also Commissioner Presley for always making sure that sports events get really recognized at the BCTDA meetings. So thank you very much. And then last but not least, the Health and Human Services staff, who over the last year and a half or 2 years have worked with us to safely work with sports events. So I wanted to kind of go back a little bit, and Chairman Newman, I think when we began to discuss a sports commission, you were a city council member, because I found your email on several of the emails. But back in 2006, the sports commission, the county began to discuss a sports commission and establishing a sports commission. In October of 2008, there was a study by Ross Bartow called Asheville Sports Destination Marketing, which recommended the establishment of an independent sports development office or sports commission. In 2009, there was a task force that was established with leaders such as Jan Davis, Kay Ray Bailey, and Carol Peterson from Buncombe County, Wilma Sherrill, Janet Cohn, Mike Rajkov, Mike Burt, Kelly Miller, and Tim Lampkin from the Chamber of Commerce. And in 2010, the Articles of Incorporation and Bylaws were adopted for the Asheville-Buncombe Regional Sports Commission. And we're now in our 12th year, and our scope has grown and expanded. And just to kind of remind you of our mission statement and our vision, and I think one of the things missing in the vision is that it also needs to include community, because we have really tried to add community to our vision. So to host memorable sports events that will enrich the lives of the athletes, spectators, and the Buncombe County community. When you look at our event resume, this past year, we were able to host American Cornhole. We actually hosted it twice. They became a great fill-in group. They were our first non-COVID basketball or COVID non-basketball event last July. And then we actually were able to have them fill a spot in January that we needed to fill. The Asheville Championship was our new basketball tournament that we started last year. The field of teams, Princeton, Western Kentucky, South Carolina, and champions Minnesota from the Big Ten. And we hope in the next 2 weeks to announce not only the field for 2022, but the field for 2023, which we think you will be very pleased with. The Billie Jean King Cup, we were the first, or only the second city to host 3 times, and the first city to host 3 out of 3 times in 5 years. The Grand Fondo Asheville and USA Cycling Grand Fondo National Championship. Last summer, we hosted 976 riders from 39 states, plus the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico, also Canada and Colombia. 29% of those were from North Carolina, 17% locally. And kind of an interesting statistic is 21% were from Florida. We had a large delegation from the Miami area who actually came up and spent a couple of days riding around in rural western North Carolina. The Great Smoky Mountain Grapple, last year, it's a wrestling tournament that we started in 2018. This year, we had 34 teams, but this event is really built for our Buncombe County teams not to have to travel to Raleigh or Charlotte during the holidays. And I know that this is a great partnership with Buncombe County Schools. It's been a really good event. It continues to grow. And right now we're at 34 teams to this year. And of course, the Southern Conference basketball championships. And we really were able to do some great things. We were able to celebrate Social Work Awareness Month. We talk about bouncing back, and I thought that we did really well there. So when you look at our event impact calculator, which is what a lot of people are looking at, our direct spend was a little over $13 million to Buncombe County. You can see that total room nights were a little over 27,000. One of the things that I do want to point out is that we had 2 events. Gala Gymnastics, which is an incredible event in January, the first full weekend of January, usually has 1,642 gymnasts and has over 2,657 room nights the first week in January. So it's a time when our community, our hospitality community is not really busy. And then, of course, the Asheville Spartan Race, several of you have been out to the elected officials receptions that we've had for that. And we are currently still looking for a site to still complete it this year, but we had to not have that for the last 2 years, and that has over a $5 million impact. We have had over 12,000 participants here for that event. So I think the buzzwords are always economic impact, room nights, tourists, and those are important. But I think the most important impacts that we have as an independent sports commission is actually connecting the community through sports events. And so when we looked at the Southern Conference, this year we limited the students who were coming for education days, but we still had over 3,000 students there for education days. If you've never participated in Downtown Dribble, I would encourage you to participate. It's an incredible celebration of our community. This past year we had 594, and our numbers were limited because of literally we couldn't get the basketballs here. They were stuck on a boat, so we had to limit our number of participants this year, but we're excited to hopefully get back to the 1,000 number this year. Also, with the Billie Jean King Cup, we had several major community events. We were able to have because it was during spring break, we were not able to actually have students attending the tournament. But what we were able to do is reach out to our spring break camps, clinics with Buncombe County Schools and also the City of Asheville Parks and Recreation. And we had over 300 students who had a great day of tennis and pizza at Rabbit Rabbit. We also had groups. We had 2 different clinics for special needs, both wheelchair. We had the National Wheelchair Team in for an exhibition, and we also had other disability tennis clinics, and then our middle school and high school students. And then I think our most successful event was our Community Diversity Brunch. We had a record 125 individuals who attended a great community conversation with 2 of our leaders in our community, Tina Madison White and Rachel Muir from UNC Asheville. It was a really impactful event that we held at the Cambria. And then the Asheville Championship, we started a pilot program last year, and we are looking forward to an incredible program this year that we are working with Buncombe County Schools and Asheville City Schools that is really going to take sports marketing and sports events into the classroom for an entire semester. So we're really excited about the announcement of that in a couple of weeks. Everyone asks what's next. So I just want to kind of give you a brief outline of what's coming up. So we're getting ready to have 2 great weekends of lacrosse. The Carpetbagger Lacrosse Tournament used to be 1 weekend, and girls lacrosse has grown so much that they've broken that event into 2 weekends. We're venturing out to flag football. We'll be doing that at the John B. Lewis Soccer Complex. First time we've done that. Of course, the incredible event that we have here in Asheville, the Skyview Golf Tournament. As we talked about, we'll have the 2nd year of the USA Cycling Gran Fondo National Championships. We have, again, adult lacrosse. We'll have the Beer City Cup, which is the longest running adult soccer tournament in the country. And then going back into the Asheville Championship and the Ingalls Great Smoky Mountain Grapple. So we have a lot of things coming up and working on more in the future. And again, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart to each one of you. You're available when I reach out, you respond, and we just appreciate your support of the Asheville-Buncombe Regional Sports Commission. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Tim. Great presentation. All right. We move on to our public hearings. We do have 3 public hearings, 2 of them on the bond orders and 1 on the FY23 budget. So the first item is a public hearing on the general obligation bond for open space, and Don Warren and Sybil Tate are going to present this item, as well as the next order on the affordable housing bond.
Good evening. I'll attempt to use this. So as part of the public hearing, I'll take my mask off. As part of the public hearing, we just want to share a brief overview of the bonds with you and some information about the programs that would be impacted by the bonds. We do have in the audience department heads from each of the departments who could be impacted, as well as Lillian Govas, our communications director. So if you have any questions, specific questions for them, they are here. So just an overview, we have two bonds to discuss this evening. First is the open space bond. That would be for $30 million. This would be primarily for a capital cost and acquisition and improvement of land or interest therein for conservation and protection of natural resources and preservation of farmland, including but not limited to the development of greenways and trails for recreation purposes. The second bond is a housing bond. We refer to that often as an affordable housing bond. That would be for $40 million. This is for the benefit of persons of low or moderate income, including construction of related infrastructure improvements and the acquisition of related land and rights of use. We would have 7 years to access the funds with an option to extend for 3 more years. And staff is recommending that we have 2 bond project managers, 1 for each bond. The bond project manager would be responsible for reporting to commissioners, providing a transparency website, and also reporting to the various advisory boards. Oh, am I still not? Excuse me. So the first program is proposed conservation program. The goal of this program is to protect natural resources, maintain open space, and also this would contribute to the commissioner's recently adopted goal of preserving 20% of the county's land by 2030. And that's adding an additional 6,000 acres to the land that's already conserved. The selection process would be to work with the 2 existing advisory boards that we have that work on conservation programming, and those are the Ag Advisory Board, the Land Conservation Board. We have an existing program, and so we would look to follow that program and that process, which includes written application, a site visit, and then a presentation and recommendation from those advisory boards. Here's a list of potential draft criteria for evaluating projects. Of course, we would look to those advisory boards to review these draft criteria, and if there are any additional plans that come through that are adopted by the commissioners, such as our comprehensive plan or our master plan for recreation, those could also change the criteria. So oversight and transparency, we do want to ensure that we have oversight and transparency for each of the programs and all of the funds that are invested through the bond. And so we would look to work with our bond project manager and our existing staff to provide regular presentations to our advisory boards as well as to you all. And we will also have an independent third-party audit. The next program that could be impacted would be our open space program. And the goals for this program would be to protect natural resources, create recreational opportunities, and of course, acquisition of open space. Similar to the previous program, we would look to work with our LCAB board and our Recreation Advisory Board to provide oversight and review applications. We would request written application, a site visit, and project presentation to each of those advisory boards. Again, here's a potential draft criteria for evaluating projects. We would, of course, again, look to those boards to review the criteria and update them based on any plans that the commissioners might approve. And again, oversight and transparency, you'll get used to seeing this slide throughout the presentation, because again, we do want to emphasize the importance of having oversight and transparency for any of those funds that are spent. Again, staff would work with our bond project manager and provide regular updates to the advisory boards and to the commissioners, as well as we would work with a third party to conduct an annual audit. The next projects are the Greenway projects. And our goal here is to complete the Woodfin and Inca Heritage Greenways. And we would look to our Greenway plan for any additional Greenway projects. And similarly, we look to our advisory boards to help us develop, to work with criteria and adapt based on commissioner-adopted plans. The selection criteria here is a little different. It's really based on shovel-ready. And shovel-ready is defined as having a feasibility study completed. Design is either underway or completed, and of course, it has to align with our partner at NCDOT's plans, and then we do want to make sure we have site control. And again, oversight and transparency, we would work with the bond project manager and our staff and our partners at DOT and the MPO. And we would provide regular updates to our advisory boards and to you, and we would have a third-party independent audit. And finally, our final bond program would be for affordable housing. These are proposed investments for housing for persons of low and moderate income. And there we go. And the goal here would be to impact the recently adopted board goal of impacting 2,800 to 3,150 affordable housing units by 2030. You can see the areas in color are units that we are already looking at impacting, and then the gray area on the slide is how much further we need to go to achieve our goal. Project selection, we would work with our existing affordable housing subcommittee, and we would use their existing process, which involves a written application, a thorough review by our staff, and then the subcommittee, and then final presentation to the Board of Commissioners. And the criteria that we would look at would be to ensure that we're aligning with our affordable housing program criteria, as well as the focus for these bond funds would be capital cost, namely construction of units. And finally, oversight, again, we'd work with our bond project manager and our staff to provide updates to the subcommittee as well as the commissioners and have that third-party independent audit. And with that, I will turn it over to Don Warren to talk about process.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. So I'm here because we have some procedural things that we need to take care of. If I go the right way, there we go. So we have the other steps that we've already completed. We have had our introduction to the bond orders at the last meeting. We've had the application to the LGC. It went to the LGC this morning, and they approved it on their agenda. So we are now able to move forward with various, oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong bonds. Skip that. We're on GO bonds, too many bonds. Anyways, so we have the introduction of the orders. We're now at the part where we have to have the public hearings for each of the bond orders. And so I need the commissioners to open a public hearing one at a time and then listen to the public comment and close those. And then I will be back for old business, and I will have to bring a resolution for you to adopt that will be setting the special referendum. So those are the next steps, and I'll be happy to answer any questions about the process, where we're at, or what we need to be doing.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions at this time?
Commissioners, I just want to make reference to Pegeen. She's in the audience tonight, and I just want to recognize her and the work that the Trust of Public Lands have done on this our behalf. So I just wanted to lift that up. Thanks.
All right, thank you for doing that. And yeah, the commission is very appreciative of the Trust for Public Land for helping us to research some of the feasibility of the bond referendums and for helping us get to this point this evening. All right, commissioners, let's go ahead and hold the public hearing. Is there a motion? Or actually, don't need a motion. I can just call the public hearing.
Right.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and call the public hearing for the general obligation bond order for open space. We'll open the public hearing at 5:40 PM. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak or make comments during the public hearing on open space? Mr. Dave Nutter, if you'd like to comment, please come up to the podium, please.
I just wanted to ask, Mr. Chairman, whether my earlier comments could be included in this public hearing record.
They will be in the minutes of the meeting, but I would suggest you just make brief comments now. Okay, have them on the record for the public hearing.
We of Connect Buncombe, I'm a member of the board, are deeply in favor of the bond issues, both for affordable housing and especially for the public open space. We raise funds throughout Buncombe County to help projects of this kind. We look forward to working very closely with county staff and elected officials as the process proceeds, and we will be supportive in every way. It's a beautiful program. We're deeply in love with it. We want it to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public who wish to comment on the public hearing for the open space bond? Pegeen, hi.
Chair Newman, members of the County Commission, I'm Peggy Hanrahan with the Trust for Public Land. I did want to just note, I saw several advocates out in the hall, so they may be in the overflow room. I'm not sure if they didn't sign up. And I just wanted to briefly let you all know, I've been doing this for 17 years for the Trust for Public Land. I think I've worked with about 40 local governments, and this is far and away one of the best. I've really been impressed by your staff, by all of the county commissioners. Everyone has given a great deal of time, and there is already a citizen support group that has been put together. We have a meeting tomorrow morning, and if anyone's watching and wants to participate, we are really looking for a broad cross-section of Buncombe County residents. We'll be totally locally led, and there'll be an opportunity for people to learn more and participate and share with their neighbors and their friends and their coworkers their support for these two great programs. But I just wanted to compliment you on the quality of your local government and everything you're doing here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if there are any members of the public in the overflow area who want to speak on the open space bond referendum, please come on over now, because we're going to close the hearing in just a moment. Okay. Okay. All right. All right, so seeing none others, then we're going to close public hearing at 5:44 PM. And should we go ahead and open the public hearing on the other item?
The next one, please.
All right, and we'll go ahead and open the public hearing on the general obligation housing bond order, and we'll do that 5:45 PM. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on during this public hearing? All right, I'll close the public hearing at 5:46 PM. Thank you. And we'll come back to this under old business to take some additional steps. Okay, so the next item is the public hearing on the recommended FY 2023 budget.
Presentation.
We're just waiting for a presentation to load, so just give us a moment, please.
There we are. Commissioners, we are here tonight for a public hearing on the recommended budget for fiscal year 2023. There have been two changes to the budget since it was presented to you on May 19th. The City of Asheville and the Town of Woodfin have both agreed to continue support of the homeowner grant program. This results in $165,000 of revenue and expenditures. Additionally, there is $2,493 in additional Health and Human Services revenue, and this reduces the appropriate fund balance by that amount. With this change, the fiscal year 23 recommended general fund budget is $399,377,222, with the tax rate remaining at 48.8 cents per $100 of assessed value. The budget has $382.5 million of revenue, with the three largest sources being 63% property tax, 12% sales tax, and 12% intergovernmental revenues. Appropriate fund balance is budgeted at $16.9 million. Our budget is appropriated by function. The largest function is education at 27%. This is followed by human services at 23%, public safety at 21%, general government at 17%, debt at 5%, economic and physical development 2%, cultural and recreation 2%, and other financing sources 3%. We are funding our education partners at $104.9 million. This is a $10.3 million increase over the fiscal year 22 amended budget. Buncombe County Schools receives an 11.9% increase, while Asheville City Schools, based on the average daily membership split, receives an increase of 8%. AB Tech receives an increase equivalent to the unrestricted revenue rate of 6.22%. Buncombe County Schools receives an increase of $8.7 million. $6.8 million funds salaries to bring all locally funded employees up to a $15 an hour minimum plus their supplement, which will bring them to $16.62 an hour, or other employees it gives a 2.5% increase. This funding also pays employees for whom one-time ESSER funding was used during the pandemic. Half of the operating request to address utility and fuel increases and insurance costs is funded at $1.9 million. 63 new positions are recommended, 60 in the general fund and 3 in the solid waste enterprise fund. 7 capital projects are recommended at a total of $16.5 million. 3 of these projects will be slated for debt at $15.2 million, and the other 4 projects will be paid for with capital funds at $1.2 million. Community grant investments are budgeted at $8.5 million, with $3.8 million going to early childhood education and $2.3 million going to affordable housing support. The fiscal year 23 recommended budget recommends 1 tax increase, that of the Barnesville Fire District from 20 to 22 cents per $100 of assessed value. The total of all annual funds in the fiscal year 2023 budget, recommended budget, is $576,163,947. Posted with this evening's agenda are the fiscal year 2023 recommended budget in brief, the fiscal year 2023 fee schedule, and the link to the interactive Budget Explorer on the Buncombe County website. The next step is to conduct a public hearing on the budget, address any need changes, and we will return in 2 weeks for budget adoption.
All right, thank you, John.
Mhm.
All right, so as John explained, we're not voting on the budget this evening. We're just, we're holding the public hearing. So let's go ahead and open the public hearing on consideration of the budget, 5:51 PM. We do have a list of folks that have signed up, so I'm going to go through the list of folks in the order that they signed up. But if you didn't sign up, when we're done with the list, I'll ask if other people want to comment, so we can get to everyone. All right. First person is Casey Murdoch.
Hi, good evening. I'm Casey Murdoch with the Buncombe County School Technology Department. I'm a Tech 2 with 17 years of service. You have a handout that was given to you with our pay or our salary schedule. For reference, my pay grade is a 68, and I've had the same pay, or that pay grade has had the same pay for the last, or has it for the first 15 years of service, same pay, no raise whatsoever. And on my 16th year, I got a 28-cent raise, first raise in 16 years. And then for 17 years of service, I only make $1.13 more per hour than year 0. So someone hired in with the same pay grade as I only make $1.13 more. So with that much experience. As you can imagine, this does not cover 17 years of cost of living increases. And because of that, I have had a second job for the last 5+ years to supplement my salary. Sorry, I'm nervous.
You're fine.
In comparison, Asheville City Schools pays a higher rate and is 1 grade higher for the same position that I do. They're a 69. If my research is correct, that would be about $929 per month more than what I make at Buncombe County Schools. Buncombe County government employee with a similar job than what I do makes $1,461 per month more than I do. Similar job, same job for the same number of years. That's close to $20,000 a year more. It's a lot. Like most of the staff that I work with, I enjoy my job. I enjoy serving the staff and students of our community. However, not being compensated for the work that we do is discouraging and has left many of us considering looking elsewhere for employment. We already struggle to hire qualified staff since we do not offer enough compensation, and when we do hire and train, they're hard to retain. They get trained and then they move on somewhere else that pays more. Please consider the salary study and help rectify this for so many Buncombe County school employees. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, so everyone will get 3 minutes. You'll get an orange light when there's about 30 seconds left and a red light when your time's up. We do ask people to discontinue their comments once your time's up because we want to give everyone the same amount of time. All right, the next person that signed up is Brian Black.
Good evening. My name is Brian Black. I was born in Buncombe County and went through the AC Reynolds School District, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the HVAC Department and Skilled Trades for Buncombe County Schools Maintenance Department. When I began working for Buncombe County Schools in 1995, it was a coveted career path. Working for the county meant security, benefits, training, and opportunities to grow in a skill. Keeping in mind of my years of service with the county, I would bring to your attention that the last time that we saw a salary increase was almost 13 years ago, which was approximately 2%. Our HVAC department is alarmingly understaffed right now. There are currently 7 of us who maintain 4.6 million square feet of equipment and classrooms over 46 facilities. In the past, an administrator would submit a work order. A technician or mechanic could respond quickly to that call because we had enough staff. Without the manpower that we used to have, we're having to triage requests as best as we can when they come in. This has caused distress for educators, students, parents, and staff who are trying to accommodate all the needs of the schools with less manpower and the same amount of work, if not more. We have worked nonstop to maintain and continue to update buildings that vary from a few years old to 50-plus years in some cases. We are proud of our schools, and we want to provide the best care that we can for educators and specifically the students that are in them. We are struggling to hire and/or keep people in our department because they can go to work for another school or a school system or company doing the same job and being paid substantially more. So why would they stay with Buncombe County Schools? When I was hired in 1995, the benefits for working for the county helped offset deficits in pay, but now even those benefits have changed or they don't even exist for new hires. The goal for all of us working in Buncombe County Schools is to do our part to help our students be successful. That student comes from a team of people supporting the students. Everyone from teachers to counselors to parents and coaches, beyond and behind the scenes, janitorial staff, maintenance staff, cafeteria staff, bus drivers, and many more. Our success as an educational institution is driven by test scores. So if you want to see test scores drop, let our schools continue to fall apart. Continue to let the people who keep the rooms clean, who prepare meals, who deliver the children to school safely, and those who keep the classrooms comfortable for learners to have a more competitive wage. When you stop prioritizing the employees, everyone in this county will suffer. By you funding the salary study recommendation approved by our school board, you will be giving Buncombe County Schools a fighting chance to hire and retain employees for the next generation of students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tina Marie Monteith.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tina Marie Monteith. I am a district coordinator for the custodial services of Buncombe County Schools. I'm here to speak on behalf of the 200-plus custodial staff of BCS. I have been with BCS for 13 years. I came on board in 2010 as a 4-hour custodian. Since, I have held full-time custodial positions along with a head custodial position in our schools, including a head custodial position in the maintenance department, which in turn led to my current position. Since the 2019-2020 school year, it has truly been a challenge to retain our wonderful and caring custodians. We have averaged 30 openings throughout this year alone. For the past 2 school years, maintenance staff has filled in for the missing custodians, taking us away from our regular duties. And even with our extra help, we cannot fully meet the custodial needs at all our schools. The upkeep for all our buildings solely depends on our caring staff of custodians and maintenance. Without them, it is hard to maintain the integrity of the school buildings. As a custodian, I took pride in what my school looked like, smelled like, and even felt like. Oh gosh, I missed my place.
It's okay, take your time.
And many of our custodians feel the same. There is just too much square footage for our diminishing custodial staff to keep up with. This is not an easy job by no means. Although the school year is now over, we need to prepare for the upcoming year. And with that preparation, we hope to recruit new staff to fill our 30-plus openings for the next school year and retain our dedicated custodial staff. For this, I stand here in front of you, Board of Commissioners and City Manager, that I threw in, anyway, to help with the proposed budget to implement the recent salary study of non-certified employees for Buncombe County Schools. I believe our custodial staff deserves even more than a living wage for all they endure in addition to the increased demands of the past 2 school years. By establishing the $15 base pay in addition to the local supplement, I think this will have an enormous impact on custodial wages across the board for our gratefully appreciated custodial staff and new employees. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Amanda Maud. If I mispronounce anyone's name, I apologize.
Good evening. My name's Amanda Maud, and I work for Buncombe County School Maintenance Department, and I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of their whole maintenance department. I began working for Buncombe County Schools full-time in 1999. I'm a proud product of Buncombe County and grew up in a family of educators. At maintenance, we have a gifted group of multifaceted individuals, and we're proud of what we do for the BCS community. I'm here to ask that you fully fund the salary study recommendations as approved by our Board of Education. Our department is charged with maintaining 46 facilities daily. The state provides no money for the maintenance of our school facilities. That means that our local government must bear that responsibility. The average age of our building is 50 years old, and it takes adaptability and institutional knowledge to carry on our daily duties. We ensure that the county's greatest assets, our children, have a secure place to learn. The well-being that our services provide creates an environment where students can be successful. Imagine expecting students to learn effectively with no climate control, water, or electricity. When COVID threw the world in a panic, our department never shut down. We worked each day amid all the changes and mandates set forth by various governmental agencies. We kept our schools in operational condition, so when the return to classroom learning arose, we, along with our buildings, were ready to welcome our students back. It's encouraging for our work to be recognized by certified staff, especially those joining us tonight. We really appreciate you. Okay, sorry about that. COVID highlighted the importance of a solid infrastructure. Simply put, students suffer when we're short-staffed. Our department is struggling mightily with employee recruitment and retention. When I began working, the state of North Carolina provided the continued health insurance after 5 years of service. People were willing to work for that lower wage, knowing that their insurance would be covered later in life. Unfortunately, that benefit no longer exists. Applicants coming to BCS from the private sector are taking a substantial pay cut and no longer see any long-term benefit. Competing with the private sector can only be a viable option with more equitable compensation for our employees. Most of our staff live in and spend money primarily in Buncombe County. An investment in the people of this county will never be a negative option. According to the HL Group, our school system was the most in need of any school system needing an overhaul of salaries that they had seen of all the systems they have surveyed. That's huge. Many of our folks make less than the $15 an hour that the state has mandated be. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Paula Dinka.
Good evening, Chairman Newman, Commissioners, City Manager. I'm Paula Dinga, and on this last day of school in Buncombe County, this will likely be my last public comment as president of the Buncombe County Association of Educators. I have been coming to you for the better part of the last decade for support and understanding as we navigated the many insults that to public education by our state General Assembly, local delegates almost completely excluded. Your support has always been appreciated, and I'm grateful to each of you. We believe that the North Carolina General Assembly should meet its constitutional responsibilities to its citizens by fully funding our public schools, including the immediate implementation of the Leandro decision. Unfortunately, we have had to look to our local government for much needed funding due to the abysmal treatment by the state, which doesn't seem fair, but here we are. But yet we have to look to you to do what we need for our children and staff. These are the children whose parents are our neighbors and our coworkers, whose faces we can put names to in our daily lives. These are the children whose parents should be writing and calling you, our state representatives also daily, and to fully fund the resources and personnel for their children's education today so we can all thrive tomorrow. These are the children whose parents will be storming our schools when their children's well-being, health, and safety are at risk. Buncombe County Association of Educators is in complete and full support of meeting at least one of our professional priorities, which is the BCS request to fully fund classified wages to $15 an hour, plus the 10.77% supplement and a decompressed wage scale beginning as of July 1st of this calendar year. Our classified staff clearly deserves this. They are well overdue. They are the people you can trust with navigating winding, sometimes slick asphalt roads and traffic and noisy yellow buses. These are the people you entrust to feed sound nutritional meals to young brains ready to learn. These are the people who run small groups with lessons to make pinpoint differentiated instruction possible. These are the folks that you entrust with EpiPens and breathing treatments, insulin, and defending against armed intruders who would defend other people's children at the risk of their own lives, and so much more that you've already heard from essential technology, maintenance, and custodial staff. So we look to you because we always need and appreciate your support, but especially because our General Assembly won't truly see the overwhelming need to do what is right, their constitutional duty, while they sit on billions of dollars of surplus, giving billions away in corporate tax credits. These children cannot wait for them to get it together. Buncombe County Schools and the County Commission should be racing to compete to put necessary money on the table. And from a very verbose community voice recently who said, you don't buy good teachers, you don't buy loyalty, good teachers are born. Well, that's all well and good, but he left one part out. They have to live too, and live in this community, and they should not have to sacrifice their well-being. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Lisa Peterson.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alyssa Pedersen, and I'm the upcoming Vice President of the Buncombe County Association of Educators. I've been a school teacher in Buncombe County Schools for 12 years now. Finished today, kind of. Still working summer school, still working the rest of the week. But I came here last time. I was pointing out that one of my friends who works in the Buncombe County Schools in a classified position, who works 21 hours, makes a take-home pay of $1,200 a month. And I'm glad, I'm thankful that you listened. I'm thankful that this is up for adoption because, like everyone's saying, there's no plan for growth if we're not paying people enough that they want to come into the schools. I was reading over the Hill study, and they were saying that people who had connection to the schools are the people who are here, and even the people with connection are leaving. So I really encourage you to pass the budget and recognize that people who work in our schools are valuable and deserve at least a $15 minimum wage, at least in Buncombe County. So I wanted to quote a little bit of that Hill study. The first thing they said is veteran employees want to continue their service in the district, but the stagnant salaries and shortage of workers in the area are increasingly making it difficult to justify remaining in the district. They say that you need to pay for experience. Like I said, my friend worked 21 years, makes just under $11 an hour. Another quote from page 4 is, decisions to raise minimum salaries to $15 an hour do not address compensation, the compression. And we've been talking about compression, but if anyone's watching this streaming, that someone who makes $21 who's been here for 21 years should not be making just $1 over the person who gets hired yesterday. It's just not fair. And the person who gets hired yesterday should be making that $15 an hour. So we're hoping that you do the decompression salary scale, and hopefully that matched some of the 2% every year raises that people need to get, because if you're working 21 years, I said this before, but I'm ashamed that the county that I live in and the state that I live in thinks that that's the value of the people who work with our children. And I support all our classified staff, and I'm thankful that you're out here. So thank you for considering this. 2 weeks. Thank you for voting yes on that updated salary schedule.
Thank you. Jimmy Brown.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jimmy Brown, and I work for the Technology Department, Low Voltage Central Office. Team of 7 only for all 45 schools. I've worked for Buncombe County Schools for 8 years now, and I love the fact that I'm a part of not only the best team in the state, but also a close-knit family. As you already know, we are here representing the non-certified employees of Buncombe County Schools. And as the salary study showed, there is a major issue with the pay that we are receiving compared to the other counties and cities in the state compared to the cost of living that we're having to adapt to here in Buncombe County. As our elected commissioners, your annual pay is from $28,000 to $38,000, which is kind of weird because this also represents the pay scale of the vast majority of the non-certified full-time employees of Buncombe County Schools. So I ask you this. Could any one of you guys live on this salary alone? In 2018, Haywood County reinstated their school system pay stubs, and we come to you and ask you for your help to fix this overlooked situation we have been dealing with for so many years. Would you freeze your employees' pay for 16 years? Please realize that we're still employees of Buncombe County. We are your school system. And we ask to please have the same level of compassion for us as you do your employees. You have been given the salary study and the proof of what it takes to live here in Buncombe County. So I'm asking you, our elected officials, Dr. Baldwin, and our board to step up and take charge of addressing this critical issue we've been dealing with for so many years. We're having a hard time providing for our families as it is, even before the inflation has occurred. And it's only getting harder for us as time goes. I thank you for your service and your time.
All right, thank you. Next is Taryn Johnson.
Good evening. My name is Taryn Johnson. I work for Buncombe County Schools in the technology department. I've been with them for 17 years, since yesterday. The handouts that they don't just show what we are against for the market, they show what we are against with our school system next door. It shows the huge difference in pay by us not getting our steps. It shows how we have been frozen in time while everything around us gets more expensive. When we went to one-to-one, we did not get any kind of raise. Every student got a device. That's over 22,000 devices. We didn't get no steps. We got no pay grade bumps. We got no bonuses. We've been on one-to-one for almost 7 years. Well, we just finished 7 years. We're starting our 8th year. Asheville City Schools, their pay grades for their tech assistants and their Technology 1, which is what I am, are 2 grades higher than us. We don't just work on computers, on software. We in-housely fix them. Every computer that's got a broken screen, keyboard, anything, any part of that computer, we in-housely fix them. We're Dell certified. We're A+ certified. So the responsibilities that we had before the one-to-one came, we still have those same responsibilities. Each year we add and add more and more responsibilities and get paid no more. When I finally got my first raise, my take home was a difference of $34. My house payment went up $66 because of property taxes and insurance, where the housing market has rose so much. It is very hard to continue to make that and get paid so little. We're not just asking for help us live. We're also asking for what we deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Melanie Allen.
I'm Melanie Allen, and I've worked for Buncombe County Schools Technology Department for the past 26 years. And I wasn't in technology all 26. I started out as a teacher's assistant in the classroom, helping the teacher, filling in for sub-duty, doing any duty needed in the school to help make the school run day to day. I moved to technology. We do what we can. We do what we need to help. Been here for a long time, and you take other positions, you work, you learn skills so you can get another position in the department so that you can make a little more money. Raises weren't there. That was the only way to do it. I finally have made it to a Tech 2 position, which means I'm a little higher on the pay scale, but not much. But we still have to work other jobs to make ends meet, to be able to do what we need to do. I just want you to hear the pleas of my coworkers, for all the non-certified staff. We're struggling, we're trying. We feel like nobody cares. We feel like we do our jobs, we've been doing our jobs for years. Morale is low, very low. We've waited, we've been told, okay, we'll get this fixed. This is only temporary. We'll reinstate the steps, we'll reinstate. Nothing has happened for years. Some of us are vested. It's hard to go get another job when you're so close to retirement. And I'm vested and lucky to be one of the people that does get to have my insurance paid when I'm gone, when I do leave. We have watched other counties around us, we have watched other agencies enable steps, raises, and we're thinking, we're next. This is gonna be us, we're gonna be next. It'll be okay, we'll be able to make it. And then nothing happens. Please don't let this be the time when nothing happens. And please vote for us and help the employees of Buncombe County Schools. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Chris Kingsley.
My name is Chris Kingsley, and I am a instructional assistant and a bus driver at Hominy Valley Elementary. I spoke last time, and I hope that what I said resonated with you, and I hope that it stuck with you and you remember it. But I would like to reiterate the main point that I was trying to make last time I was here, and that is that for better or for worse, right now, job seekers and workers get to be picky about where they work. There are enough jobs available that they can turn down jobs. They can say, I don't like the schedule of that job. I don't like the benefits of that job. I don't like the pay of that job. So that means that it is the responsibility of employers, and in this case you, to make your jobs as attractive to job seekers as possible. And right now, the hourly jobs in Buncombe County Schools are not attractive to anybody anywhere at all. One that I would really like to point out, because it stuck out to me so much, is that if you have a CDL Class B with a passenger endorsement, you don't even have to have the school bus endorsement on it. You could be an Asheville City bus driver, and starting pay training is $18.78 an hour. And I realize that that's a contracted out thing, but at some point somewhere in the county, somebody decided that bus drivers deserve more than $15 an hour, more than $16.62 an hour, more than $17.70 an hour, that they start out at $18.78, but not school bus drivers, not the people who are alone with your kids. And that just blew my mind when I really looked into that. And another thing that I'm hearing a lot about this is that it's a really big ask. This is the most we've ever asked for. It's so much. But it's really not, because what we're asking for is to be able to live off of full-time jobs, to be able to have enough money that we can live off a full-time job without any other extra work. And I don't really think that's asking for that much. in addition to that, the monetary cost of this is not lost on me. I realize it's more money than we've ever asked for. I realize the dollar value is more, but it wouldn't be if it hadn't been ignored for so long. Imagine Buncombe County Schools as your car that you're driving around. The check engine light came on 20 years ago, and it's been driven and driven and driven because you put it off and said, I don't want to take it to the shop now, that costs too much money. For all this time, well, now the engine's dead, and it's time to replace it. To continue that analogy a little bit in the terms of the decompression here, you gotta get those oil changes, you gotta get those tire rotations on your car. This is something that needs to be addressed every single year. When it comes back around for the 2024 budget, you've got to get back to this again, or else you'll find yourselves in the exact same position we're in right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Kathleen, yes.
Good evening. My name is Kathleen Lawler, and I am representing the school nutrition workers of Buncombe County Schools. I have worked for the school nutrition department since October 2002. We are charged with fueling the students to learn by giving them nutritious meals, a warm smile, a friendly face in the morning to start their day, and in the middle of the day when they have their lunch break. We have faced incredible worker shortages. We are running on nearly skeleton crews in some districts, in some schools, and it's getting harder to retain employees. I hear people that want to stay, they want to keep working for the county, but they can't. The cost of living is too much. They have to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, just to make it. And I'm asking you to please consider and give us the full salary study. And we appreciate your time and your consideration and ask you to please consider us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathleen. Andrew Boone.
Good evening. My name's Andrew Boone. I work for Buncombe County Schools Transportation. We're in charge of making sure that the buses get up and down the road every day. Now, I wrote a speech explaining what we do and our duties and how grossly underpaid we are and how underappreciated we feel. Well, these folks, they covered everything that I was going to say because their strife is my strife. We're all going through the same thing. Now, it is absolutely 100% shameful that any of these people should have to work a second job to make ends meet, to take care of their families, working for the state. That is ridiculous. And you know that. You know that because you've seen the budget and this amount of money that they're asking for. You get it. You see that something's amiss. Something's gone wonky here. Well, it has. And the biggest thing that I want to stress, that I don't know how many of these people are actually going to say it, this promise of our pay increasing over a 3-year period, while we appreciate any raise that we can get, we want it now, all of it now. Stretching it over a 3-year period, until I see it in my wallet, it doesn't exist. And telling me that it's eventually going to be there, that's a platitude, and we're sick of platitudes. There's nobody coming up to fill these positions of these folks that's worked here 20 and 30 years. I got guys at the shop that's worked there their entire working life, retired and came back. And it's not because they got paid a bunch. It's because they love what they do, and they do a good job of it. And I can sit here and tell you how good of a job we do. The state inspects all of our buses to make sure that we're doing our job, make sure they're safe to run up and down the road. Well, we place in the top 10 every year. And we get paid just barely above the poverty line to do this job, to see that the 10,000 kids that ride our buses every day get to and from school safely. I'm not asking, I'm pleading with you guys, pleading. You've got to understand how grossly underpaid all these people that make the school system function, how grossly underpaid they are. And it's got to be fixed. So even though my speech was pretty good, I promise, I sat down and I wrote over the weekend, it's not bad. They've already said it. So I just want to stress, again, listen to these folks. These are the lifeblood of the school system. These are the people that make it happen, and they need help. Reevaluate that pay scale and fix it for us, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Boone. Katie Cornell.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Katie Cornell. I'm the Executive Director of the Asheville Area Arts Council, and I wanted to take a moment to express my gratitude for including arts and culture as a priority in this year's budget. Thank you. So you don't have to look any further than the cover of the budget and the related arts submissions to see one of the many ways in which the arts bring people together and help build this community. As a designated arts agency for Buncombe County, our role is to support artists, arts professionals, and arts businesses so they can continue to provide important services for our community. We do this through advocacy, research and reporting, professional development, and grants. We've been providing grants to local artists and arts organizations since 1979. It's a critical time for creatives in our area. As you know, the arts sector was devastated by COVID, not just here, but across the U.S. Buncombe County's creative sector is still down over 2,000 jobs from 2019, and our performing arts organizations continue to be impacted by event cancellations and slow ticket sales. Through investments by the county and the state, the Asheville Area Arts Council has granted more than $300,000 in state and federal relief aid over the last 2 years. We asked all 62 of our grant recipients from this time period how they felt about the county's proposal. So far, we've heard back from 43 organizations, all in favor. No one has been opposed. Here are some of their comments. Laurie Causey from Black Mountain Center for the Arts writes, "We have deep appreciation for the support from the Asheville Area Arts Council and put complete faith in their ability to manage and equitably distribute funds through grants." Cleesta Cotton from Youth Artists Empowered writes, "Your support in arts funding assists youth in procuring the necessary skills to grow into successful citizens of the globe who make a positive impact." Ann Chesky Smith from Western North Carolina Historical Association writes, "Funding through the Arts Council has been vital to our nonprofit survival." Jen Murray from Street Creature Puppets writes that the Arts Council's grants provide vital support to the many small and medium-sized arts organizations in our area. I urge you to take time to read through the rest of the comments, which I sent you last week, and I encourage you to reach out to me if you have any questions. Again, thank you for realizing that investing in arts and culture is an important investment in Buncombe County residents now and for the future. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Katie. That's everyone that signed up. Are there any other members of the public who wish to comment during the public hearing on the budget? All right, I want to thank everyone who took time to come out this evening and share their comments on the budget. It's one of the most important decisions the board is responsible for making each year, and so we appreciate everyone taking time to come out and share your perspective on it. All right, I'll close the public hearing at 6:29 p.m. All right, the next item on the agenda is the county manager's report. All right, great. We come to old business. First item is a resolution setting the bond referendum, general obligation bonds. Don Warren, the finance director, will be back to tell us more.
Good evening again. I'll be here for a little while. Okay, so we had our public hearing. Now we have a resolution that sets the special bond referendum the bond orders. The resolution specifically states the bond language that will be on the ballot. And if you would like, I can read that bond language to you. The ballot shall include the following words. Shall the order authorizing 30 million of bonds to pay capital costs of acquisitions and improvements of land or interest therein for conservation and protection of natural resources and preservation of farmland, including but not limited to the development of greenways and trails for recreational purposes, and providing that additional taxes be levied in the amount sufficient to pay the principal and interest on the bonds, be approved, and that'll be a yes or no on the ballot. The second ballot question will be, shall the order authorizing 40 million of bonds to pay the capital costs of housing for the benefit of persons of low or moderate income, including construction of related infrastructure, improvements, and the acquisition of related land and right-of-ways, and providing that the additional taxes be levied in the amount sufficient to pay the principal and the interest of the bonds. And that'll be a yes or no question as well. And that is what will go on the ballot. Should you approve this resolution?
And one resolution covers both of the items.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the resolutions as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we also have a resolution for issuance of the 2022 limited obligation bonds for county and public school capital projects.
Yes. So, as I misspoke earlier, the LGC had it on their calendar today for our application, and they did approve it. So, now that they have approved the application, I need the board to approve a resolution to issue the bonds. And this resolution will designate the chairman of the board, county manager, and the finance director as representatives to act on behalf of the county for the financing of the bonds and to sign the necessary documents. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have about this resolution.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution as presented? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we come to new business. The first item is approval of the Clifton Larson Allen LLP fiscal year 2022 audit contract and engagement letter, and Don Warnes remains with us to discuss this item.
My last one, I swear. Okay, it is time to approve a contract for CLA, Clifton Larson Allen, our independent auditors, to do the fiscal year 22 audit. The contract amount for the actual financial audit and the single audit is $144,000. There are other items due to GASB 87, which is the lease project that we have to implement, as well as all the additional auditing that will be required for the pandemic-related items, ARPA funds, that sort of thing, as well as the Statement of Accounting Standards 134, which essentially is just a change to the audit report and the layout. And each one of those has a different range. The ARPA funds ranges from $10,000 to $20,000. The GASB 87 leases is anywhere from $7,500 to $25,000. And then the additional pandemic-related major programs is anywhere from $4,500 to $8,500. And then the implementation of the standard 134 is $1,200. So that brings our total range for the audit contract anywhere from $162,700 to $190,200. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about this. Oh, and this went to the audit committee this morning, and they did approve it.
Commissioners, any questions? Is there a motion to approve the contract and authorize the chair to sign the contract and engagement letter?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, Mr. Warren.
Thank you.
The next item under new business is a resolution modifying the Land Conservation Advisory Board, and Jennifer Harrison, I believe, is here to present this item. I'm sorry, Ariel's going to do this for us, thanks.
Good evening, Commissioners. Alrighty, let's see. So basically, the overall purpose of the Land Conservation Advisory Board resolution is to update the conflict of interest policy in that resolution, as well as align board procedures with our current county board policies. We are setting term limits for the board members to, so that that also aligns with current county board policies. We will, this resolution places term expirations on all current board members. And it also reduces the number of board positions on the Land Conservation Advisory Board. So the original resolution set board members at 15, and this resolution will reduce that to 9. So currently we have 11 board members serving, and this new resolution states that 2 of the current board positions will not be refilled after their expiration of their term. So therefore, the LCAB board will become 9 members total. So overall, this is to clarify the purpose of the board in order to really identify this board as being able to make recommendations regarding the funding of easements. And so in summation, the purpose of this resolution is to update the Land Conservation Advisory Board policies in order to align with our current county board policies.
All right, thanks, Ariel.
Yeah.
Commissioners, any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the resolution and update the board terms.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thanks, Ariel. The next item is consideration of a budget amendment for Register of Deeds excise stamp tax, and John is back to present this item.
Good evening. So Register of Deeds excise stamp tax, we're seeing much more revenue from this tax than anticipated. In January, we raised the budget for this revenue to $8.5 million from the original $6 million budgeted. As we must remit 49% of this revenue back to the state, we need to increase the budget again, this time to $9.5 million. This does not require any new county funds.
Is there a motion to approve the budget amendment?
So moved.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Oh, you got another one. Budget amendment for health insurance stop-loss adjustment.
Yes, as a self-insured entity, the county purchases stop-loss insurance to protect against high-cost health claims. The county receives reimbursements or credits from the insurer when we pay these claims. This amendment takes the credits received this fiscal year through April and projects the full year's credits to add $1.5 million to our insurance claims budget in our internal service fund. No new county funds are required for this amendment.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, John. All right. The next item on our agenda is consideration of the commission approving the issuance of a letter to the Healthcare Planning and Certificate of Needs section of the Division of Health Service Regulations in North Carolina regarding the proposed certificate of need for establishment of a new 67 acute care bed hospital in the Buncombe County and Western North Carolina area. So there's been an identified need for the additional 67 acute care beds. There's a public comment period that is open regarding the issuance of this certificate of need. There's been a number of different healthcare organizations that have expressed interest in providing these services and creating this new facility in Buncombe County. So The letter that's been drafted expresses support for the creation of additional competition in the healthcare space in Western North Carolina. Currently, as we're all aware, the only major hospital in the area is Mission Hospital, which was acquired by HCA a number of years ago, so it's effectively close to a monopoly on healthcare service in the area. So the letter expresses support for having an alternative facility in the area. There's at least 2 nonprofit hospitals that have submitted proposals or have expressed their intent to submit proposals. Advent, which of course has a presence in other parts of Western North Carolina, as well as Novant, which is a nonprofit hospital, doesn't currently have a presence in Western North Carolina, I don't believe, but does have a strong presence in the Charlotte, Winston-Salem, Wilmington, the eastern and Piedmont regions of North Carolina. So both very experienced healthcare organizations with a lot of experience and capacity have both submitted proposals. So the letter that's been drafted doesn't endorse any one organization over the others, but does endorse the idea that we'd like to see additional alternatives for families who need health care in our area, as well as endorsing the idea that it would be desirable to have the presence of a nonprofit hospital serving the region. So that's the letter that's been drafted. I would just add that if we do approve this letter, I just want it to be clear that the letter is not just from the chair, but that it expresses the perspective of the Board of Commissioners. So we might just maybe just tweak the language to just make it clear that if this is approved, that this letter was approved by the Board of Commissioners at our meeting this evening. Commissioners, any questions or comments on the proposed letter?
I appreciate you working on the letter, and I'm supportive of this. I think we clearly hear from the community that they would like choice, and I'm supportive of us proceeding and it being from the entire commission.
I have the same position.
All right. Is there a motion to approve issuance of the letter with the understanding that we'll issue some clarification in that final paragraph to make it clear that the letter was approved, was reviewed and approved by the Board of Commissioners?
Motion to approve the letter.
All right. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, Commissioners. All right, and the last item under new business is the attenuation light for the Leicester Volunteer Fire Department. And it has my name next, it says Chairman Newman's going to explain. I'm going to ask Commissioner Terry Wells if take a crack at explaining this one. So
I'm happy to, thank
you.
you. So I've been hearing from community members, so just to put some context for those of you who haven't been out there, our Leicester Library and our new Leicester Fire Department share the same drive entering onto Alexander Road. And so I had, community members had reached out and expressed concerns about that drive and the access. And then our fire department and our fire chief, Ted Gillespie, is here with us as well. They had also let me know that they were working on getting a light. Originally, I think it was going to be just to address the fire department, but North Carolina DOT worked on this for quite some time. They also did reduce the speed limit there on the road, which is beneficial. But they decided that the best type of light would be this attenuation light, and that because it's a shared drive, that they put it there in that position. And so with that, and they explored various options, but that was their recommendation based upon the shared drive. And I think you have a visual there too that shows that if you need to look at it. But and because it is with that shared drive, it is my recommendation that we assist the fire department in paying for this light. I spoke with Anna Henderson at North Carolina DOT, and they're estimating that it's $25,000. So my recommendation would be that we consider helping pay for that 50% of that cost, because it is also very much benefiting our Buncombe County Library and those patrons and increasing the safety for all.
All right, and Commissioner Edwards and Presley also requested this item to be on the agenda, so any comments from commissioners?
Yes, I spoke with many board members out on the Leicester Fire Department, and with the library using it, probably going to be using in and out of it more times than the fire department are. I strongly recommend that we pay 50% portion of the construction of it.
So I actually have a question. I was under the impression this was an actual stoplight. And that was why I signed on to support this evening. I am concerned about it being an attenuation light and how that actually benefits the library patrons. Because my understanding of the attenuation light is that the fire department will control that.
No, it's a sensor in the pavement, so when your car pulls up onto it, no matter whose car, if it's a library patron, whoever, the light flashes. So it's not controlled by the fire department. It's a sensor.
So it's not like when you go into an area where it says emergency signal.
So when your car pulls up, right, whether you're exiting from the library or from the fire department, and you hit that sensor, those lights will be flashing, and they'll stay flashing until you pull off of that sensor. So it's benefiting everyone.
So it's not the kind of light that like you can change with a device. It's motion activated in essence.
It's when you pull onto
Right.
the pavement.
All right.
That is what DOT has clarified, and I spoke with them again today.
All right, that is not what I was under impression that was occurring. From the conversation that was presented to me, it was a stoplight, not an attenuation light. So I'm a little concerned that I'm not sure I had the whole picture of what was happening. I'm not saying I don't support it. I just don't think I had all the information presented to me until just now. So it would be nice to have some additional information from DOT versus it just getting filtered to us, so.
That is your understanding as well, Robert. And I spoke with DOT today. I've gone over this with them twice, with Anna Henderson. And then the chief is here as well.
Right, and I've had numerous conversations with DOT about it. And, you know, through some of the voting that goes on at the library there, it is very difficult getting in and out of that place. I know I spent many a days there doing what we do, and have had some near collisions there and that is a very busy time on voting day, but still, I think it's very good that the library is going to get as much access out of it, and it's a safety thing, and if that's what we're looking at, I think we need to approve this.
And the library was asking for this, our library patrons, even before the fire department. So it's clearly something they've been wanting as well.
Avril, can you speak to the usage with the library and the patrons? Or is that something that maybe I'm looking
We
at?
haven't polled the library patients. We did ask library staff. And so they said any light would be helpful. We were hoping the fire department did approach us for funding on this as well. And to Terry's point, it was changed from just the light, the preemptive light that they can change, but it's only a flashing light. It will change to a flashing light when anybody gets on that sensor. So when you look at the draft, the graph here from DOT, it does say vehicle enters, when it pulls in, it does go to a flashing light. So, and also if you look at the little bubbles, I will call them on the slide, that's where the post is gonna go that says, so people driving will see that flashing light is ahead, but that's what it is, it's a flashing light. The chief did approach staff for funding, and we told them no from a staff perspective. So then they turned to the commissioners, and that's why it's on the agenda tonight.
And I'll say that I'd actually was interested in this before. So the chief didn't come to me when you all said no. It was actually various people in the community, just to be clear. So
It wasn't the chief who came when the staff told him no. It was people in the community.
And actually, I had come and spoke with some of the residents a year ago, and then during a recent board meeting, one of the board members reached out to me, and I had made conversation with staff about it, and then Terry come to me a month later and said, "Hey, will you be willing?" And I said, "Well, I've tried, and so I hope we look at this."
Avril, can you share a bit more about the rationale behind the staff's response? Please.
Yes, ma'am. At the time when staff said no, it really was about a preemptive
was
light.
the preemptive.
They were going to be having full control of but I think with some changes, staff is willing to bring forward a budget amendment for you guys at the next meeting. Whatever position you guys take tonight, we will follow.
I think the attenuation is an improvement over the preemptive, for sure. Just it's not quite what had initially been shared with me. I'll state that again, but I can be more supportive of the attenuation versus a preemptive.
So, I don't hear any real objections to the idea of doing a cost share on this. I think some of the, some of the technical aspects of exactly how this is gonna work is, because my original understanding about it, when I heard about it too, is it was not the attenuation light solution, but I understand why it sounds like that's coming forward. So we could have this on the next agenda. We could plan on putting it under the consent agenda, but we could ask that there be a little bit of, maybe just a little bit more of just a technical description of it so that everyone's clear on exactly what the solution is on this and why that's recommended. So I don't know if that's a DOT thing or just if someone could just provide a little bit more of a little description on that. The map is helpful, but I think members of the public who might just look at that may not exactly understand what's going on here. So if there could just be like a real short description of exactly what the project would accomplish, and we could just plan on having that on the consent agenda. If there are any other questions, then of course any commissioner can ask that we take it off the consent agenda to just have some more discussion about it before we vote. But would that be agreeable to the commissioners to go down that path?
And I heard of 50%.
Yes, that's right. Or 50% of the estimated $25,000 to do it. Okay.
Now, I had heard 27.6 was the number that I had been told, so I
Okay.
still want to go at 50%.
Okay, maybe we can just clarify that too. Is it 25 or 27? But 50% of, and then if we could have a budget number in there clarifying that too. We've got some folks from the Leicester Volunteer Fire District here. Would any of you like to just share any comments on this item tonight? Make sure we've got learning everything we need to know.
My name is Ted Godleski. I'm chief of the Leicester Fire Department. And kind of give you a little bit of background of this, when we decided to build up there, we actually started talking with NCDOT probably 4 or 5 years ago. And the first thing that was proposed was putting flashing lights that said emergency vehicles that we would have control of. We would have to hit a button in the station. They would flash for a certain length of time. That was what was discussed over the last 3 or 4 years. When we started construction in 2020, a year or so after we started construction, it was decided that we needed to go ahead and get those lights put up. So last July, I think it was August, checked with the county planning department and asked if the county would be willing to help. And that was for lights, like I say, that said emergency vehicle. And the county said no. So we came back and we decided, we're going to put up some type of lights. We checked into a stoplight down there. The traffic volume does not constitute putting a traffic light up. So we went and just by happenstance, I happened to be up there one day while the building was being constructed and saw DOT out there. And spoke with them, and their recommendation, they said, why don't we do something to put that will benefit everybody? And it doesn't matter whether it's a 40,000 town fire truck or somebody in their Toyota Camry leaving the library, when you pull on that sensor, those lights will go off, just as Commissioner Wells said. Due to it benefiting, you know, both entities, I guess you might say, that's where we're at tonight. But, and maybe I shouldn't say this, and I don't want to sway anybody's idea. The lights will be put up. They're going to be put up. Our board's already voted on that. So, you know, regardless of what happens, I appreciate y'all's consideration. I appreciate your time in looking into this, you know, but we're going to put them up because we feel it's that important. And, you know, and if we do the whole cost, then fine, you know. I do want to commend the Lester Library and the library system. They have been excellent neighbors. They've been very appreciative of us being there, and the branch manager even asked if she needed to come tonight when I was speaking to her. But like I say, your consideration of this is greatly appreciated.
All right, thank you very much. That's real helpful. All right, Commissioners, any other questions about this item at this time? All right, very good. All right, that is the last item under new business. We've got a few board appointments. The Homeless Initiative Advisory Committee has 2 reappointments. I'll make a motion to reappoint Tim McElia and Lance Crawford. All in favor say aye. Aye. The Women's Commission Advisory Board has 1 reappointment. I'll make a motion to reappoint Libby Kiles.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The Strategic Partnerships Grants Committee has 3 reappointments.
I'll make a motion to appoint Kate Berger, Douglas Clark, and Paul Tax.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the Early Childhood Education and Development Fund Committee has 6 reappointments.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Kit Kramer, Leslie Anderson, Misty Rising Cogbill, Philip Belcher, Susan Mims, and Commissioner Robert Presley.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Great. We appreciate everyone who serves on these important boards and advisory committees for their great work. Yes, sir.
We can go ahead and see if you want to make a interview for that or an appointment, whichever one. So just want to get some advisement for that.
Okay. So are there any other commission board meetings prior to the county commissioner briefing meeting at 3 o'clock that afternoon? I'm not aware of any, but is anyone else aware of any? Okay. So would the commissioners like to do some interviews that afternoon prior to the briefing? Okay.
I'm fine as long as it's after.
Okay.
Commissioner Wells, is that, when you say that, is that meaning 12:30 or later, or is that meaning like 1 p.m.?
All right. So it sounds like we'll do some interviews that afternoon for the boards where we've got multiple applicants for limited, for the spots. I'm sorry, but the last one you mentioned, Lamar, was for which board?
The planning board.
And I'm sorry, say that one more time. We've got how many?
So for the planning board, we have one vacancy. That vacancy has been posted since March. We've only received one application
Okay.
for that.
All right, so let's keep that one open and just really encourage the people in the community to think about applying for that. That's a really important board. It's responsible for making a lot of recommendations regarding land use policies to the county commissioners. It's responsible for reviewing any rezoning requests from property owners in the county. So let's try to get the word out about that. That's one that usually there's a lot of interest in, but it may just be that we need to talk it up a bit.
So what time are we proposing so I can make sure I get it?
How many
on the
interviews were
calendar?
for the other boards that we do have applicants for?
Well, potentially, it looks as though 9 interviews is possible. We have 4 for the Airport Authority and 5 for AB Tech Board of Trustees. So
Okay.
I would start at 12:30 to give a little bit of grace period if that is okay. But if that is not okay with the board, then we can make an adjustment.
I think if we start at 1 o'clock, we ought to be able to get done before 3 o'clock. But we could start earlier, but I know it's you should probably have some food. Yeah, we're gonna be brain dead. So would y'all prefer 12:30 or 1? I think we could do it at 1 if we stay focused, but if you want to start earlier, that would give us a little bit more wiggle room. Any preference? All right.
What was that?
I think we're going to try for starting at 1 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, commissioners, thank you. Have a couple of announcements. On June 21st at 3 p.m., the commissioners will hold their briefing meeting at 200 College Street, room 326 in downtown Asheville. On June 21st at 5 p.m., the commissioners will hold their regular meeting at 200 College Street, room 326 in downtown Asheville. We do have a need for a closed session, I think on 2 different topics. Mr. Frew, could you tell us what they are?
Yes, sir. We'd ask to go in a motion to go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143, 318, 11A, 3 and 5. Number 5 is for to discuss the price and other material terms of a potential real estate transaction. And 3 is discuss a matter with attorney employed or retained by the county in order to retain the attorney-client privilege. We don't anticipate any open session items, but just direction from the board.
All right. Is there a motion to go into closed session? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The commission will not make any decisions when we come out of closed session. We will simply adjourn the meeting.